This time on Video Game Tango, we've got new game announcements from Sony's State of Play and Xbox's ID at Xbox.
Nick here, and in this house, we're like a spring mix of spinach and foreshortened.
Hi, I'm Josh, and today I forecast dinosaur rains and void trains.
Hi, my name's Russ, and T-Pain can be my Kaiser any day.
I'm Andy. Welcome to Video Game Tango. This week,
It's real.
It is real.
It happened.
It's another one!
we had Sony's State of Play for PlayStation and Microsoft's ID at Xbox.
So
Also fun.
the State of Play is a monthly thing. Mm-hmm. Is the ID thing a monthly thing as well?
ID at Xbox hasn't had any, like, well, yeah, kind of, but so it hasn't been ritualized yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so they made it like ID at Xbox is a fairly new concept, and I think it's mostly just to show off like your less than AAA games that are coming out soon.
Which is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
They need the airtime.
Honestly, they looked AAA in my heart.
Well, I mean, a lot of them looked really good. But yeah, anyways, so let's start with State of Play.
Okay.
Shall we?
Yeah.
So we saw Exo Primal,
Game of the year.
which looks fucking phenomenal.
It does. Oh my god, dude. It looks so good.
A game that starts out by raining raptors
Yes.
is
Literally.
fucking cool.
From the
Yes.
void.
Yeah.
From the void. Mm-hmm.
So it looks like it's going to be kind of a like mech suit, hack and slash, beat 'em up, shoot 'em up, third person.
I'm curious.
Left
if
4 dinosaurs.
It looks like class-based. But
Yes.
I mean, I don't know what kind of customization they'll have there. I'm actually kind of excited about that. It's kind of fun playing with people, and you have to choose one of the 4 classes. It's weird to say, like, I want less options, but nobody can get mad if, like, I'm the sniper class and I'm sniping.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, and I mean it doesn't mean that less options makes a less fun game. Like I'm going to use Risk of Rain as an example. Like each character is essentially its own class. They operate very differently from one another. And you can get some really cool synergy going on with multiple characters or with different characters. And then playing with your friends is fun. And having they have power-ups in the game that definitely cater more to some characters than others. And it kind of turns into this dichotomy of, I just looted this box here, so come get this power up because it goes best with your character.
Did you write that for me, Nick?
Wrote it for everyone.
Nick wrote Vape Nation.
We're having fog issues off camera
We are.
or off podcast.
On camera.
But I am working to fix them.
So yeah, Exo Primal looks like a lot of fun. What do you guys think of it?
I mean, it's the same people who did, we were talking about the other day, Frozen Bug, Kaiju, Monster, Robot.
Lost Planet.
Lost Planet.
I
Is it
can't remember the
same?
developers. No.
Okay. It's Capcom, right?
Yeah, it's Capcom.
Was Capcom Lost Planet?
Yeah.
Let me check.
Well, they were
I
Exo
have
Primal.
a gut feeling it is because it feels like a Capcom.
Yeah, it does feel like a Capcom, but I feel like I would remember if it was Capcom.
I don't remember.
It is Capcom.
Shit, okay.
So, I mean, if it's anything like Lost Planet was, which is, Pacific Rim, but in the North Pole, like, bring it on. Like, I love new ideas. I love risks, especially from, bigger publishers like Capcom. I know they're not known for being scared of risks, but it's cool to see, like, okay, you're robots, and there's a giant void showing up in the middle of the city, and it's literally raining dinosaurs.
What I got from both of these showcases is that we are getting like a good variety of different games.
Yeah.
Even from the AAA stuff, which was most of what was showcased on State of Play, which has me really excited.
Yeah.
So we got Exo Primal, also Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the name bantered about. I haven't looked into it at all, but it looked somewhere between the Mirror's Edge and BioShock, if I'm going to do it justice. I don't know if it's
kind of
be that
aesthetically
good.
BioShock,
Yeah.
right? Like it looked like psychic powers reminded me of using plasmids.
Yeah.
You
It's
know?
kind of you're a superpower ninja guy in some kind of vague Japanese place fighting
like
ghosts.
So
and
solving
spirits.
a mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably Tokyo.
I assume Tokyo.
probably.
Yeah, right.
Neo Tokyo,
One
post
would
Tokyo,
think.
3 Kyo, 4 Kyo. It's
It's actually Shanghai, but I mean, it's it's fine.
Was it?
It looks
No, it was definitely Tokyo.
Okay.
scarier than BioShock.
It did have a
More of a horror feel.
a really creepy element. Didn't we see that at the Game Awards?
did.
Like a trailer for it. Okay, because I thought I had seen that before. The broken Oni mask.
Yeah.
I'm just saying they know how to do it creepy, man. Like it did. It creeped me out a little bit.
There was gameplay there, but it has the quote unquote issue that I have with a lot of games of that ilk, where they show all the really cool monster introductions or monster animations or combat animations quick cut back to back.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really tell us much about the bulk of the game, like how much running in circles is there, backtracking, item collecting. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't imply any kind of slow pace. It looked like a pretty quick paced game. But
At the end of the day, we're looking at trailers. And trailers are going to they're going to showcase the best parts of the game, and they're going to try and keep you as excited as possible, right?
We'll get to that later.
Well, and here's but I mean, for it to be in, like, when you're playing a game, it's interactive the entire time. Watching it is a little bit different story. So keeping
they have to pick and choose what they show.
Right. And keeping you engaged is what, I mean, especially in, over like 2 or 3 minutes is what they're trying to do. So it's going to be hot action. So continuing with the new IP, kind of new ideas, we've got another Final Fantasy game coming.
Yeah.
Sort of, right? I guess it was Final Fantasy something.
I saw the
right?
Marlboro, the big squid tentacle looking thing, which is a classic Final Fantasy monster. What is a 30-second trailer of a new Final Fantasy game? It doesn't tell me anything other than, a new Final Fantasy game's coming out. So I would like to see gameplay before I make any guesses. The last real Final Fantasy interaction I had, my brother plays the online Final Fantasy 14, which is great. And then you rented Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
And we tried to like it.
Yeah.
And
Is that the boy band one?
Yeah.
I played that.
yeah.
Did you like it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were some things that it did really well and other things that it didn't, right?
Yeah.
That being said, so they've had a couple iterations of the style of gameplay that they're going to be doing. Starting with Final Fantasy. Well, I can't say starting with Final Fantasy 15 because 13.
It's whichever one Lightning was in, I felt like was the real first one of those kind of style Final Fantasy games.
So we've seen the evolution of what their combat system, I think, ultimately they're trying to do is going to be. I think Final Fantasy 15 was a little bit squirrely, felt a little bit funky.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 7, I got really dialed into the remake.
Yeah.
And it felt like a more polished version of it. So it's going to be interesting to see like how they go forward with that, or if they're going to be using the same kind of combat style and formula. But I definitely feel like it's getting better. Yeah. So quick synopsis of Stranger in Paradise. That's the Final Fantasy Origins game. It's not a prequel of the mainline Final Fantasy games. It's more of a spin-off set in the same world that serves as an explanation of the series' recurring time travel theme, featuring some similar characters. The same world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, as far as the Final Fantasy games go, a lot of them are set in the same world, just totally different timelines.
Like
news
places
to me.
in time.
So that it's not explained in Final Fantasy games, but you've had Squeenix come out and discuss that.
Oh, they pulled a Rowling. The one Final Fantasy world that is contiguous that I do really enjoy is Ivalice, which has the Final Fantasy Tactics games in it. And that's like the one time where they're like, we're going to make an actual world and we're going to put multiple games in it. And they've been able to develop it. And I think even Final Fantasy 14 might be tied to that. Or maybe the original Final Fantasy 11, I think was. Or
the first MMO?
First online one. Yeah. I don't know. Do what you're going to do. You do Japanese Final Fantasy. It's always weird. We'll see how it comes out.
It could like, if Final Fantasy VII Remake is any indicator that Square Enix kind of seems to be getting back on track with making good quality Final Fantasy games, I'm interested. It's a gorgeous game, but that comes from Square Enix, right? So it's not uninteresting, but it is definitely kind of samesies. Same. After that, we saw Forspoken.
Forspoken.
My notes say Elden Ring easy mode.
Was that the old woman spacesuit climbing up Infinite Tower?
Those nice boots.
No,
that was Returnal.
Nice
Yeah.
No, that was Returnal. Up the tower, but
up the tower was Returnal. This was nice boots.
This was nice boots.
Yeah, let's go ahead and confuse Nick when he was.
It's okay. It
was his reference to the boots. I figured
know.
he would know what game it was.
No, dude, my memory doesn't go back that far. That was like 40 minutes ago.
I was trying to give you a thing that you might cue off of.
Yeah.
Now, is this the same game where the main character gets isekai'd? It's like a teenage chick that gets sucked into this world and she doesn't know what's going on.
So
the one that we saw at the Game Awards.
I actually read a bit of an article about this, the heroine there, and the article is predicting her as being like Aloy big as the next big, next big heroine.
The gameplay footage we saw from the Game Awards did not look like the gameplay we just watched.
It was very different. I got almost all the way through the trailer before I remembered. Oh wait, I think this is that game I'm thinking.
Because I remember watching the Game Awards one, it looked like booty. It did. It looked,
I agree. Yeah.
It wasn't showing nearly as much epic stuff. It didn't look as good. So now I'm like, which game are you going to be getting?
Yeah, I think so. Game Awards was definitely it feels like early footage compared to this, big time.
Yeah. So it looks like it's an open world game. We don't know anything about the plot other than the main character's isekai, which is a Japanese term for a real life person getting sucked into a video game. It's not directly translatable for this particular game, but it looks like she gets sucked into a magical world and she has to fight bad guys. And from what I saw, she's got a bunch of magic powers, but also really cool magic boots allow her to do all kinds of cool fluid movement traversal stuff.
She can double jump like Lil Sebastian.
Yeah, she had some dashes.
Fly, little Sebastian, fly.
She's like Bad Horse, but not evil. But yeah, I mean, the trailer looked cool, but it didn't show me enough about the game to really have an opinion of it yet, other than this looks like another beautiful Unity tech demo.
Sure.
So here's a weird thing. So we saw 2 trailers that had, we saw more than one, or we saw 3 with female protagonists that I recall. There was Forspoken.
Yep.
There was the Returnal. Oh, I wasn't forgetting Returnal. There's 4. So then there was the Pirate Viking chick game with the skeleton.
Oh yeah,
that showed no gameplay.
Flintlock.
Yes,
Flintlock.
I think that was an Xbox though.
I know. I'm just saying,
okay.
of all the trailers that we watch, I just want to. My point is there's a fundamental difference in the way that some of them feel. And then the last one was the one that Sierra really liked, the weird cell shading.
Yeah, the other one from Squeenix.
Yes.
Valkyrie Elysium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did I forget that? Some of those games, they have a female protagonist, and it just seems like she's a cool character just because they're not that scene in fucking Avengers where all the women show up for the
girls get it done.
Lady Avengers Assemble.
Yeah.
2 of those games feel like that to me. 2 of them feel like they're not trying to draw attention to that our protagonist is female. She just is. There's a fundamental vibe difference. So the Forspoken and Flintlock seem like girl power videos. And then Valkyrie Elysium and Returnal seem like that's not actually in any way the point of the video that they're showing you. Does that, you guys pick up on that at all? Does it feel that way to you?
I didn't.
It could be crazy.
I didn't feel it like any kind of
I can see where you're coming with
pandering.
that. You see a lot more female protags in indie games, and sometimes it's just because it makes sense for the character relevant to the plot to be female, and sometimes it's just because the gender doesn't matter, and other times it's because it's forced, right? More often than not, though, in any games, the gender of your main character isn't really as important as it tends to be sort of in AAA games. So at the end of the day, more power to you. Half the time I don't notice in a lot of indie games I play. But then you have games what became of Edith Finch or whatever. Or I'm just saying there's some bizarre indie games where it is centered around being female.
The first Life is Strange.
Last of Us is really important that the character's female because that's half the plot. So,
well, and The Last of Us 2.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah.
So my question was,
I kind of feel what you said.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, some of these, you see these really quick gameplay trailers or cinematic trailers. I don't know what to tell you about your game because I haven't seen it yet. It looks cool, but it's like watching the trailer to a movie, but you only see the first 10 seconds of the trailer. You're like, okay.
But that's literally like, it's the point of the trailer. To me, it's like they're going for a specific vibe.
Well, I mean, sure. I mean, did it feel a little, girl powery? Absolutely.
Well, and it's weird because you have them really close.
But, like Aloy is a big deal right now. She's fucking crushing it. So, representation counts. They're trying to get female gamers excited about an action game. Look, I get it.
The one thing about the Flintlock trailer, which we're still diatribing, but in that trailer, the gender didn't matter at all. So I didn't notice it other than she was fair. Shooting a skeleton with a Flintlock musket, which is, kind of intriguing. Okay. That speaks to some weird technology. We'll see how that plays out in the game,
I guess so. Maybe it's a better comparison to say the vibe is that they're trying to, and we talked about Aloy. They're trying to recreate that, and those games weren't exceedingly popular because it was a female hero protagonist. They're just it's a fun, interesting game that they made, and the gender doesn't matter, right? Yeah. But then these game developers see its success, so they're like, we need to make an Aloy adjacent powerful female character because they think that's one of the key aspects that made that game good.
I don't know what they're thinking.
Her being a powerful and good female character certainly didn't hurt the game in sales, and
her being female also was kind of important to the story of the first Horizon. I haven't played the second one, but
I mean, you wouldn't know that. You got to think about what's the initial draw to the game, right?
Well, the initial draw of Horizon was fucking robot dinosaurs. Yeah. that really sold it. And
here's the question, different one. Do you think robot dinosaurs appeal to both sexes?
They should.
I mean,
you get kids young enough, they see a robot dinosaur, they're
women
excited.
In chat, we need a quick question from you. How do you feel about robot dinosaurs? We got one positive reaction,
and the answer is getting posted on werewolfacts.com.
that robot dinosaurs, perfect. Okay, so it's cross-gender appeal. Robot dinosaurs.
100% of women enjoy robot dinosaurs, according to our poll.
Yeah,
that's
in
facts.
Our chat, that's true.
Werewolf facts.
Absolutely right.
All right, what's your next game up there?
Next game is Gundam Evolution.
Oh, yeah.
Got a first-person competitive shooter.
I was not even remotely thrilled by seeing that.
No, I mean, whatever. Go
and
play.
I think Gundams are pretty fucking cool.
I think so. Okay, so here's my take on it, because I do love Gundam. I'm not like a hardcore Gundam weeb, but I have watched the original Gundam series and Gundam Wing, and they have a special place in my heart. I love seeing a Gundam game that I might actually play. It doesn't look like it's doing anything new, but it looks like a decent competitive shooter.
You know what game looked better than that? Was the Transformers War over Cybertron.
Yes,
I heard that Transformers game was actually pretty good.
I played it. It was a pretty fun multiplayer, but it looked better than this Gundam multiplayer did.
Yeah,
so.
I like I said, I don't think it's doing anything new, but I could see myself playing it, at least checking it out.
So with Gundams, I got a really good analogy. At least I think it is here. If you're a musician, or if you really like a genre of music, doesn't matter, pop, rock, country, whatever, and you meet somebody who's really big into jazz, you're like, I respect that. It's not my thing, right? As a nerd, a very nerdy nerd, I know that there's people that are really big into Gundam, and it's like brother from another mother, right? Full respect to you enjoying your thing. It's not my thing at all. And that's kind of how Gundam's always been to me, because it was a bit too anime for me to like, right? It was a way more armored core and the diesel punk stuff like Ring of Red.
It's weird that you say that, because I feel like Gundam is one of the least animes.
What? It is the most anime mech show.
Yes.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah,
right. Okay. And then you got the figure building, the Gunpla and all that. But yeah, it's a Gundam shooter, which I'm sure there's probably made one. They had to have made one sometime in Japan. Has it ever seen stateside? I don't know. But it's just kind of neat to see a Gundam shooter, because to me as a Western audience, that's what I would want to do in a Gundam game. You know, I don't want to be doing a turn-based battle, grid-based, you know, XCOM style thing.
Honestly, to me, it just looked like you were in pointy armor and you're in pointy Halo or split gate armor. Like, dude, to me, Gundam means mech, like a big one. And like, dude, there's no cityscapes. There's nothing that made me feel like I was in a big robot fighting other people in big robots.
I think that's a missed opportunity, is to show the scale of things.
Yeah, like I mean, sure, whatever. It looked cool. Like if Gundam's your if that's your shooter and you want your shooter in the flavor of Gundam,
they should have just literally cloned Titanfall's gameplay as far as like, take away the pilots, and the pilots are just smaller Gundams, and then then there's bigger Gundams, and those are the Titans.
Yeah, I mean,
like, I'm super biased because I definitely feel like the multiplayer aspect of Titanfall is the best iteration of mech combat that I've ever played. It was viscerally satisfying. It wasn't.
It is arguably one of the best.
Yeah,
I agree.
But you also didn't feel like clunky. Like they nailed the middle ground of like, I'm a giant fucking robot, but I'm also, you know, nimble. So this is kind of a weird tangent. There's a game that used to be in the arcade I played way back in the day when I was a kid, and it was a side-by-side. So two people would sit down and they would have literally a mech fight. And the mech fight was controlled by two joysticks and with like buttons and triggers on them, right? And your mechs had jetpacks that could send you up in the air or like shoot you across the ground and stuff like that. And you had a fight with the other person that you were there. And it was so, once again, viscerally enjoyable to play, because you're like doing all these things like with your mech, and you're like shooting across this field and shooting at each other and stuff.
T-mech?
I literally, it's such a vague childhood memory, but I remember the actual cabinet for it. And like I said, it had twin joysticks and stuff. And that was another one. It's mech on mech combat feels like that when you have, I think one of the key aspects is like be able to like boost your speeds. Like you're kind of lumbering it sometimes, but then you can also like move quickly, or even just swinging weapons feels quick in a mech game.
Without too much of a sidestep, I mean, the Western audience appealed towards mechs, and the way we enjoy mechs is very different from how Japanese people enjoy mechs. They really like the Gundam style of flashy, fast anime stuff, whereas, you know, we grew up on Mech Warrior and, you know, old school sci-fi, these big lumbering things. And that's kind of evolved into what we have now with like Titanfall, where it might be fast and cool, but you still have that weight of being in a mech, you know.
Which I do love.
Yeah. What was the game, not Armored Core, but for the PlayStation, that was like an arcadey mech shooter? It was really, really short, but people loved it. Zero something. Anyways, that was one of the first exposures I had to Japanese style mechs besides Gundam. I'll think of it eventually. I'll say it in about 54 minutes.
It's going to be on the tip of my tongue for the rest of the podcast. Yeah. So I do want to point out, though, that while you guys were talking about like how it looks like every other game that it looks like,
Zone of the Enders.
God, thank you. That that was going to hurt my butthole.
And only I'm supposed to do that.
The games that you mentioned just happen to be games that we've enjoyed. So at the end of the day, like, it's not doing anything new, but could be a pretty decent competitive shooter with Gundam.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know. It's just, I get it. Listen, I get it. Okay. I don't think, like, when I say that I'm kind of excited about this game, it's because you like
Gundams.
Yeah. No, I get it. No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Gigabash was a bit of a, so
that was a weird one because that was the King of Monsters looking one.
No. Gigabash is the King of Monsters looking one.
Yeah.
So thank you for ruining what I was going to intro with. But I was just gonna say how this game got started, and Nick and I were like, "This is King of Monsters." Like I was convinced.
My nipples got erect.
I was gonna say it had a very this game was weird because we're all amped up for it, hyped, and then all of a sudden it's like, it's not what you thought it was.
But it is. I mean, like, really, it looks like it's
just not named what we...
It's not a King of Monsters game, but it's King of Monsters.
We need more couch co-op games in our life.
True.
Mm-hmm. I saw one. I forgot about it. I'll remember it later, but it's like Love in a Dangerous Space Time, but on a pirate ship.
I dig it.
I saw it when I was outside. I got to look it up and find it.
It's called Sea of Thieves.
It's similar. It looked more like, what's the Don't Starve Sea game that's being kickstarted right now? It kind of looked like Don't Starve like, graphically. But anyways.
Yeah.
What did you just say?
Merking.
Gotcha.
Or Merking.
Yeah.
You're getting murked?
Yeah, getting merked.
Is that goated with the sauce?
So Giga Smash?
Giga Bash.
Giga Bash. So essentially Kaiju arcade kind of SNES looking.
Kaiju Battler, baby.
It didn't look SNES style.
I'm thinking of the wrestling game. It was more like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 looking graphics.
It looked like modern graphics.
It looks like modern graphics, yeah.
No, I mean, like the game looked pretty good.
Yeah, it looked fun.
Yeah, it looked a little bit, I would say, cartoony.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to look like hyper realistic, but they were sharp.
Yeah, definitely solid graphics there.
Honestly, it looked like it was one of the ones that wrote in. Looked like a lot of fun. Excited about it.
I'm really excited about it. I loved King of Monsters, man.
Yeah, dude, it has all the good. It has all the good feels, bro.
Yeah, all the makings. After that, we got JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle.
It's a lot of words.
It is.
My brain
figured I was going to flood.
What game was that? And then I remember it's the game that I didn't understand.
It's the JoJo fighter.
So I don't understand what a JoJo fighter is. Andy, you keep saying
they said what it was when we were talking.
Yeah, we did. We did explain it to you.
There's an anime, and now there's a fighting game from that anime.
Yes. So it's a very bizarre, thus Bizarre Adventures, anime about fighting. There you go.
Yeah, JoJo's, it's a long-running anime. I think it's been going since the 80s or 90s, and they've just recently started making, there's a manga, and they made it into anime. And each season follows, I'm probably wrong, but like one of the descendants of the original JoJo. Like Jojo Joestar was like the first one, and then they have Jonathan Joestar and whatnot. But like each season kind of has its own feel and theme. And it's one of the few Japanese like action comedies that I've watched where the humor actually translates really fucking well.
Yeah.
And I've watched a handful of episodes with Adam. And I mean, it's extremely Japanese. Don't get me wrong. That's not a bad thing. It just means if you're not familiar with like anime idioms and terms and culture, like some of it's going to be lost on you. But it's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah.
Then, so I mean that one's easily explainable.
Oh, there's my name in Japanese. It's the fourth one.
Giorno?
No,
you're Giorno now.
Giorno.
My name's Rasaru.
Yes. So after JoJo, we've got Trek to Yomi.
Oh, that was the black and white side-scrolly old school cinematography.
That one looked cool.
Graphic looking.
The samurai game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like so, I'm a pretty big fan of a lot of samurai culture stuff, but also of the old like Kurosawa films.
It reminded me of what's the feet guy, the director, feet guy,
Josh,
Pulp Fiction.
Tarantino.
It looked like a Tarantino video game.
Okay.
Why is he the?
He's got a foot fetish. Why? It's like public knowledge.
Is that on Werewolf Facts? Because I didn't know that.
Okay.
Listen, you say public knowledge, but you didn't know Tesla was hella into a pigeon. So
yeah, neither did I.
Yeah, that's true. I lost that one.
We don't spend enough time digging through the archives of Werewolf Facts.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, it looked like kind of Tarantino like had a hand in making a video game. It was really cool.
But that's the thing is like Tarantino's primary influences are like the Kurosawa films and whatnot.
Seven
and the fact that it's black and white, which is
that was dope.
It's a really cool aesthetic. Yeah.
The aesthetics of the game looked cool.
It was something.
The
Trek to
gameplay looked
Yomi?
good.
Trek to Yomi.
Yeah.
Trek to Yomi.
Yomi,
which is a afterlife zone, I'm pretty sure, in Japanese culture, if I remember correctly. I'm bringing back like L5R cards, like the Gates of Yomi or something, and it's like a place where the dead warriors go, kind of like a Japanese Valhalla.
Yomi means reading.
Nailed it. Trip to reading.
Don't take my word for it, though.
But reading translates into reading rainbow.
Was that
rainbow into the rainbow road.
Was that a reference to reading Rainbow?
Oh, what's the next game?
Oh, man, I can go anywhere.
But no, really, that game looks cool. I recommend it. Trek to Yomi. Check out the trailer. That one was actually pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have the Dialfield Chronicle.
Oh yeah,
I said all those words correctly.
That was the weird cell shaded one.
No, that was the Final Fantasy Tactics.
That was the nearly Final Fantasy Tactics
one.
Oh yeah, okay. Another Japanese take on semi-Western mythology culture.
It's just weird to me that there is this niche. I wouldn't even call it niche. There is a cult following for the Final Fantasy Tactics games. And
yeah, because
now,
they're fantastic.
Yeah, and now all of us are adults and have money. Put out a new fucking Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah,
what are we doing
that
beating
was
around this
such a
goddamn
fucking
bush?
tease. I really feel like they're like testing the waters. Like, can we put out another Game of Thrones but anime? Because that's what Final Fantasy Tactics was.
Yeah.
It was straight up like Japanese interpretation of like the Western War of the Roses. It was fantastic. And yeah, so we'll see.
Kobe.
It looked extremely... I keep saying it, but it looked very Japanese. Like the gameplay is going to be very kind of confusing, and there's going to be combos and meters and who knows what. But yeah. Put out another Tactics
Combo
game.
meters.
Mm-hmm. I'm okay with, but put the combo meters in a Final Fantasy Tactics game. What the fuck, Squeenix? So then we've got Valkyrie Elysium. That is the cell shaded.
Yeah, that one looked all right.
But not cell shaded.
But well, I mean, it's definitely cell shaded. It's just cell shaded light. But
or extra.
Yes, but it felt like God. It's not. How do I explain the cell shading? Right?
It looked weird.
It's definitely a different take on cell shading.
Not bad, weird, but weird.
It's like they took cell shading and skinned them in a more traditional 3D model. So it's like a mixture of a blend of both of them.
So here's the thing: cell shading in itself is usually literally just a plugin for the game engine. So all games that you're playing are just regular models, and then there's a fucking cell shading dial.
Yeah.
So like it feels like they just put it on like 6%, and we're like, yeah, that's the
Yeah, it almost feels like they just took the border of the figures and just heavily inked them because it wasn't quite cell shaded.
Not quite. Yeah, it's like cell shading reminds me of like a comic book panel or
Borderlands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or a cartoon.
Yeah.
Whereas this didn't have that.
It was so bizarre, that art style, that I wasn't paying attention to the gameplay. Like I couldn't tell you exactly what was going on in that game, but it was just kind of weird, trippy, like action RPG kind of looking thing. Yeah.
But yeah, what the aesthetic of it had me. While I was watching, I'll have to watch that trailer again because all I got out of it was the art style. Because that's what my mind got stuck on. And I think that happened to all of us.
Yeah, I was going to say, honestly, the only thing about the game that interests me is the art style and some like the cinematics. That's really not my style of game. But
did you like the art style?
I did.
My initial thoughts is it's too brown.
It was very
brown.
washed out. Yeah.
It's
The
like
trailer had a lot of beige washed out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
it had fewer colors than Gears of War.
It kept drawing my eye to different spots in it when the trailer was going because like of how the lines would intersect with each other when a character would run in front of something. So I mean, I was kind of looking all around in that in the video there, and the art style looks neat. I think for some people who enjoyed that style of game, it's going to be a whole hell of a lot of fun. It's not really my cup of tea.
I agree with that sentiment. I think if you're looking for what looks like a good action RPG, it might be right up your alley. Mm-hmm. I'm personally, I don't know about the art style. I can't decide whether I like it or not, and I'm leaning towards I dislike it.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, it was so quick. You don't get too much of the game. You know, kind of just looks like every other B+ Japanese action RPG. So. Yeah. But
overall, I would say that the state of play was pretty fucking exciting.
Yeah, they came out pretty strong. I mean,
it definitely opened strong.
With that, dude, that like they took what seemed like just the most ridiculous premise, raining dinosaurs, and like started laughing and like not with it at it at first, and then it just kind of fucking rolled into it. It's like, okay, wait a minute. That for me, that was the standout of the state of play was Exoprimal.
Yeah, I have to agree.
That's my standout.
I did skip over one. We did see Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection.
They bundled what looked like original Game Boy, NES, SNES, Turtles in Time, and one other Turtle game and do a bundle, they're probably going to sell for $25. It's going
to be a bundle for like $25 or $30. But recently, the Ninja Turtle movies have come out on Netflix. There's a bunch of parents our age who I love those Ninja Turtle movies. Or like watching them with their kids. I've been seeing it on the Netflix and the TikToks and all that good jazz. So like I feel like is it a money making scheme? Absolutely. Yeah. What isn't? But I mean, that seems like a kind of a neat way to share some cool Ninja Turtle stuff with kids. I don't know if it's easy to find those other than like an emulator. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could do that, but
let it be known that every time Nintendo cracks down on emulation of games, I re-download Nintendo emulators.
Good.
Fucking YouTube's cracking down on my favorite non-YouTube app.
Vanced, yeah.
Yeah, Vanced.
Vanced is having to
Every time Nintendo cracks down on emulators, a Japanese man takes a sick day.
Oh,
dude, you just ruined their economy.
A Japanese man's sick day is the suicide.
Yeah, that's an oxymoron. I don't think.
I went too far with it. Then I'm sorry. I always go too far. My bad,
that's
guys.
what the PC word for it is when they jump out the window. They took a sick day.
So I want to point it out. Konahula in chat brought up the fucking NES Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song, and it's stuck in my head already.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
dude, bangers.
It is about time for break,
and
guys.
MASH.
Break time already?
It is, I know, but we did cover a bunch of games.
We went through the whole state of play, baby,
and we talked about other stuff too. So that's the state of play. We look forward to some of these games.
Yes.
When we come back, we're going to cover ID at Xbox, which happened earlier today. With that said, we will be right back. And ID at Xbox. So their showcase of upcoming smaller developer titles. Mm-hmm. First on the docket, we've got Immortality. This is the one that we weren't sure if it was a game or not.
Yeah, I did.
It's like the 60s murder mystery point-and-click adventure.
Like fully filmed actors and actresses.
Full motion video.
Now, what it looks like is they've actually had games like this previously. So the developer has made games called Her Story and Telling Lies.
Yeah, I know about Her Story, which was essentially like a series of like interviews with a woman that may or may not have been a murderer, and you had to like look through her personal files. It was like an ARG kind of game to figure out like if she did it or not. So it's good to know that they have a record. Yeah, because Her Story got some good reviews. Mm-hmm.
So the trailer was pretty dope. With how the trailer was pretty dope with how I couldn't tell like if it was a game right off the bat. It was neat. It felt novel to me because I'd never heard of Her Story. So it had a novel feel to me, and I as soon as I found out it was actually a video game and not just some sort of weird ad, I was in. It looked neat.
I would have liked to see more gameplay and not just footage.
The gameplay involved the main character clicking the head of the woman twice, as was pointed out. So we don't know exactly how the game works yet.
Getting to see some of the UI would have been really nice just to know how the gameplay is.
Yes.
Or what the gameplay is, right? Because like the trailer really gave us nothing.
Yeah, I thought it was like they're breaking into making Netflix shows or something at first. Right. That's what it felt like. Knowing now that it comes from the same developers as Her Story, you can look up that gameplay and see what you're probably going to get.
I actually did during the break, and I can kind of see what we're looking at, but it would have been nice to get some context, at least in this trailer. Would have been good. I think it would have actually served them better to have given some context.
It did hurt the trailer that there wasn't nearly enough gameplay that until almost the last quarter of the trailer, I didn't know if it was a video game or not. Yeah. You know,
we had we live streamed us watching and reacting to all the trailers, and about 40 seconds into a minute and 20-second long trailer, there were questions as to whether we were watching an ad or game footage, right? Yeah. So I think they did themselves a disservice in this trailer in not showing off some of the UI.
Agreed. They should have showed more of the UI, but I mean, I feel like you could look at that trailer from both sides of that perspective, where it's like it felt different enough that you're like, what the fuck is this? And then, oh fuck, it's a video game.
Yeah.
Or it's like, oh, what the fuck is this? And then you change the ad before you see any of the good shit. But they didn't give us enough of the good shit anyway. But it was neat. It was neat.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a cool style to it. I'm into it. Yeah. Next, we've got Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn.
So this was the cinematic trailer of a woman fighting a skeleton, and she shoots it with a flintlock.
Yeah, she's got the electric fox.
Some of the art looked cool.
Flying electric fox.
Like a big-eared fox that's sucking the lightning juice out of his skeleton.
Yeah. I mean, really, the super stereotypical fox companion from like any Asian game.
Yeah.
I mean, it had bird feet.
Yeah. So, as we all know,
it has bird feet.
Asian bird foxes. It's a cinematic trailer.
Yeah.
Cool. Looks great. I don't know anything about your game.
Good.
Also, you could have just called your game Flintlock. That's a cool name. It's called Flintlock Siege of Dawn.
Yeah, it's got a subtitle.
You don't need to kill the sun.
Yeah.
Just
you're gonna lose that fight.
Yeah.
If you all you got is a gun and a
It's been
sword,
screaming into the void for so long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. It looked cool, but I don't really know what genre it fits into. I don't know what kind of the gameplay.
Yeah, we saw her and her anime fox beat up a skeleton.
Yeah,
and steal its thunder or lightning.
I mean, I feel like those two games were like the most most mainstreamy triple E looking titles. Most like it seemed like there was a lot of money, a lot of production behind them.
Yeah. And
I honestly was not, I wasn't super impressed with either of those first two. I mean, thankfully, the Xbox, I feel like it got better the deeper we went in. So Flintlock is a big maybe. We'll see. I'd say let's run on to the next one.
We have Cursed to Golf. I was really intrigued already by the title, and it looks like, so honestly, like it looks kind of basic. We likened it to a bit of a phone game. I think
it looked great, but
yes,
it looked like a phone game.
It does.
It's perfect for the Switch or something.
Yeah.
It's like a side-scrolling golf game, but also with puzzle platforming.
Yeah.
And some kind of, I don't know, it's a Strand game. I don't know.
It's a Strand type. It looks like a game that you could have with a few buddies.
Yeah. It looks like it's worth about $7. That's the number I put on it.
That's fair.
Like that's how I would see it on the Google Play Store for $7. It's going to be a good game, but what else do you say?
Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about it. It could be fun, but I have my reservations about it based on the trailer. Escape Academy. So we've got effectively the Room style puzzle game.
Yeah, I didn't really know how to feel about this one. It's an escape the room, just like a real life escape room, but it wasn't VR.
Right.
So, but it was first person.
Yeah.
So like I'm getting Mist Riven kind of flashbacks, but I don't think it's going to be nearly that great. Right. It looked like, okay, you got a handful of little puzzles. There was apparently co-op and multiplayer, which is interesting because to me, if you're going to have a puzzle game, your single player puzzles need to be quite different than your multiplayer puzzles.
I think for the most part.
Right. Yeah. So, either this game is going to have essentially two full games in it, a multiplayer experience and a single player experience, or it isn't gonna, and then that's concerning. Right. But this wasn't the only kind of point and click escape, solve the situation game we saw in both of these things. It was surprising to see yet another kind of throwback to old 90s style games.
And then we even kind of saw that in Immortal as well. What we saw of gameplay, kind of like a point and click adventure style game.
That's what he's saying. Those were the two games, right? That were like kind of point and click.
This one in the Chinatown Detective.
Yeah, we've got another one coming down on the list later.
Right. Yeah.
Now escape rooms are huge. Imagine they took a bit of a hit during pandemic when you really couldn't go do them.
Yeah.
And so the games themselves that are similar are probably pretty popular amongst. But see, I also put these all in a vein of the $20 and under type of game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an indie game.
Well, not just an indie game necessarily either. Just like there's not much going on in like an escape room type of game for the most part.
Expecting like 10, 20 hours of gameplay or something.
Maybe. And then replayability is going to be
like
super low on a lot of these
4
titles.
hours of gameplay at best.
Yeah.
I played what's that game? You keep reliving the same like 6 hours over and over again, and you're trying to figure out how to
top-down apartment one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
I don't remember the name of it.
12 minutes to midnight. No.
It's something like that. You're not too far off.
But I played that one, and I'd say like
11 minutes,
is it
says
11?
chat.
Yeah.
Is it just called 11 minutes? Gotcha. Okay. I would not pay full price for that game, like a full $60 for it, and I probably had it beaten about 4 hours. And that's what I expect most of these like detective-y puzzle games to be. What's crazy about the Immortal one is they had to film all this footage to do it. Like, that's pretty crazy.
Oh, the full motion video one?
Yeah,
the 60s movie thing? Yeah, it was weird because, like, even to this day, that reminds me of Command & Conquer's full motion video.
It reminds me of FMV games.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, I like that.
12 minutes. You're off by a minute? Jesus. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, indie game pricing is weird. There's no set standard, but it'll range from, $1 to $30 for most indie games. You should really not be paying more than $30 for most indie games. Because at that point, once you're paying $30, most of those games in that price range, they'll last you as long as a AAA game, Oh, yeah. Deep Rock Galactic is 20-something bucks, I think, when I bought it. I've got 500 hours in it. Yeah. But yeah. Anyways, moving on.
So we have Whalefall next.
Whalefall.
Which, boy, oh boy, did that trailer just fucking hit all my buttons until about halfway through.
Do we just want to spoil it right off the bat what happened?
Yeah, of course.
So,
talking about the trailers.
Full anime cinematic, and then it cuts to the gameplay. I don't even know how to describe it.
It looks like Animal Crossing. It looks like in its art style almost.
Imagine the Wii characters you used to make on the Wii, like you make yourselves, the Miis, but lower quality.
Yeah.
Like it went from full anime to this weird grid-based, turn-based game, and it would cut back and forth between the anime and the game, and it's like they're not connected.
Yeah.
Oh.
Someone's grandma is going to buy that for their grandson, and he will be sad.
The fully animated portions of it are awesome. They look good.
It opens up with this sky whale and a bunch of people, and then an evil chick from a volcano shoots it with a purple rail gun. You're like, okay, I can get on board with this.
Fucking A.
And then it cuts to Pikmin on the fucking Jaguar.
The first thing that popped in my head was literally the Xbox avatars.
Yeah, it looked like those old Xbox. Yeah. So I don't know what to make of that because that threw me for such a loop that I didn't really take in the rest of the trailer. I don't know what the gameplay's like.
It's a hexagonal tile-based, turn-based game. It looks like, yeah.
I don't know what the plot is other than fuck sky whales.
Honestly, after Dinosaur Reign, it was a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean
we started the night off right.
We did get
Get
Dinosaur Reign.
It was a fucking treat right off the beginning. So,
following that is Wrestle Quest.
Wrestle Quest.
Honestly, dude, it looks hella cheesy, but it looks like it looks fun.
Yeah. It looks like it's got a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah. We followed somebody, Muchacho Man Savage.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that.
So what's weird about that trailer is that initially turned off when they showed that the combat looked just like turn-based things, but they obviously added a bunch of more little quirky things to do in the middle of it, like the whole
quick time events,
tacoing and the power meters and stuff like that. But they started off with showing the Muchacho Man Savage as like a Randy Savage adjacent character, but they have actual wrestlers in the game.
Like Andre the Giant. Actual wrestlers are like the big bads, your bosses.
I know, but that's so. Why would you name your scrub character a parody version of one of the bosses that you're gonna fight?
They could have done a better job.
But no, it looked like a full pixel art wrestling, like WWF RPG, like JRPG.
Which I think it looks like a lot.
It looked a little Mario RPG-ish with like quick time events, kind of Paper Mario-esque.
Yeah.
at least in the gameplay.
I mean, cheesy as fuck, but it looked fun.
I mean,
it looked fun.
At the end of the day, Macho Man Randy Savage throws a taco at one of his friends. The friend hits it with a fucking pipe and then knocks out all of his enemies with it. Like that seems fun. I like the art style. The art style is awesome. That's something that's kind of a recurring thing too with a lot of the games that we're talking about tonight. We've got a lot of really cool looking art style. Some of the games just look really gorgeous. Like they look like next generation titles, but a lot of them have like really unique, fun art styles or really good pixel art or just look good.
Yeah.
My hair is hot.
Is it?
Shut up, Karen.
That's too bad you wore that hat for like 30 seconds earlier. It fucked everything up.
It's not my head hair that's hot.
Oh,
feet
shit.
hair.
Next up, we have Tunic, which launched today as of recording.
Oh, yeah, that was the low poly, beautiful pastel Zelda-like.
Yeah, the Soul-like. The Souls-like.
I was waiting for them to say it.
Of course, this is a long anticipated game. It's been shown off for like 3 years now at this point at various conventions, the Game Awards. We've seen a lot of it. And it is an isometric view, Zelda style. I mean, the guy's literally wearing the Fox character, which is the main character. This is literally wearing a green tunic, very reminiscent of Zelda games. Yep. Almost looks like a link between worlds.
Yeah.
They reference a Zelda game it's akin to in that video.
Yeah, they do. And it looks great. We saw a little bit of a boss fight, I think, and that looked super cool. Some kind
puzzles.
of like robotic spider. We saw him fighting.
The puzzle stuff looks. I like the art style. I've played a number of indie games where you run around on pathways and stuff through the interesting little worlds and whatnot. We did. Andy and I are both huge about Bastion.
Oh God, yeah.
I keep forgetting the one I played most recently. There's two. One of them is reminiscent of a cyberpunky kind of laser sword game where you kind of like teleport back and forth. I forget what it's called.
Hyper Light Drifter?
Yes, Hyper Light Drifter.
Oh, you played Hyper Light Drifter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know where the fuck that came from.
That was it. That was exactly what I was thinking of.
That's what I was thinking of too, but I didn't think you'd played it.
Yeah, I played it. I didn't play much. I didn't quite grab me as much as the other ones did because
the same thing happened to me.
It was hard.
Yeah, no, it is brutally difficult. Yeah. I imagine the early. I assume you get used to it, right?
Sure,
but it felt a little bit floaty at times. It didn't feel quite right.
Something about it didn't stick, but those are typically like I like those types of indie games. Yeah. And there's another one. So I think it's called Below. You guys remember when Below was?
That was the one where you saw a trailer and you're like, I need to fucking play.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a launch title on the Xbox.
This is very cinematographical, like weird indie. I don't know how to describe that trailer.
Yeah,
polygonal, but also like painterly kind of.
Yeah, very, very artistic and stuff. And actually, I played that one for quite a while. I had a lot of fun with it. It was also hard, but the rest of the game caught my attention enough that I kept trying. So,
when it comes to games like Tunic, I'm drawing blanks on names because I'm not sober. But the indie scene has seen, especially in the last 5 years, a lot of old school Zelda likes.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't make more of them because it's a fantastic genre. Sure. There's a reason it's great. Yeah. My only concern is that if this game has been in development for multiple years, that they haven't like kind of pulled a Duke Nukem, right? They haven't pulled a Spore where it's like, okay, we finally have this game work and it works great. Maybe there's no bugs. Maybe it looks great, but like we've kind of glutted that market a bit. You know, we went through the Souls likes and we went through the side scrolling rogue likes. And I'll see if I can come up with names by next podcast, but I've played a lot of those kind of semi Zelda likes where they get a little bit of puzzle, a little bit of combat, boss, dungeons, and they get a little bit of everything. Kind of
what makes it stand out, really?
So hopefully, like it can just it's good enough of a game that stands out on its own merit. Like the buttons feel good, the game feels smooth.
Yeah,
you don't need to have a shtick if your game is polished and it feels right. You've got.
If your game plays better than the others, then it's a sign of a good quality game.
It just concerns me a little bit, so we'll see.
I don't think I'd be too concerned. It's getting positive reviews so far, both player base and the review cycle.
Good.
Yeah,
I hope they do well.
I liked that it was one of the few games that was releasing that we got to see. I mean, it's cool to be able to, like, hey, man, that looked fun to play, and then you can go over and play it.
Did you say that was the one that came out today?
Yes.
We should get Josh to Bastion, because he probably has zero idea what the fuck that game is.
Yeah, we reference Bastion all the time. I don't think he's played it. So
Bastion.
I mean, I fake it. And someday I'll make it.
We, like me, Andy, and Nick would talk about it more because we're all had played it.
Yeah, I'll gift it to you tonight. It's like a fucking $1. You have to. It's a must play.
Just go in blind and just try it out.
It'll suck you in for like a day and a half, 2 days, and you'll beat it, and you'll be like, "That was fantastic."
Yeah, I beat it in a sitting, and I immediately played New Game Plus and finished it.
Yeah,
I beat that game twice in a sitting.
Let's not tell him anything else about the game.
No, okay. Other than just play it.
All right, next game was
Crusader Kings 3 Console Edition, brought to you by T-Pain.
Yes.
My favorite trailer for the night, honestly.
Yeah. It's
good. Like seeing a Burger King trailer, but like there's a Saudi Arabian oil baron condiment on the bun. You're like, that what? Where did that come from?
So T-Pain was part of the advertising campaign of the console edition of Crusader Kings 3. And while it's Crusader Kings 3 on the console, there isn't a whole lot more to say about it. But the presentation of this trailer was very well done.
Yes.
So I have to say, so a lot of general people probably have no idea what Crusaders games are. It's very kind of nerdy and niche game to wanting to be able to play through these historical dynasties and whatnot. And they did a fantastic job of kind of summarizing what is the draw in these games that nobody really talks about and stuff. It's like you get to do the weird shit that you wouldn't think, and they encapsulate it in such a quick video. Like, I'll just create my own religion so that I can divorce my wife, but then I get to name it something amusing to me.
Buddhism. Yeah. It was good. It was good.
That's what Paradox games are. They are, first and foremost, a storytelling engine. They're there for you to either futz around in real life history and alternate history, or play their more weirder games and make up your own stories.
It's purely for headcanon, homie. Yeah. It's purely for headcanon.
You can be, quote unquote, good at them. You can play the meta builds if you're trying to win, but then you're not playing the game the way the developers really designed it. It's there to be a sandbox for you to play in. That doesn't mean they're necessarily easy to learn. I don't really know. I don't know CK Crusader Kings very well.
Can I tangent for just a second, or is there?
No.
Okay.
No tangent for you.
I know what you want to tangent to, but I don't know that we're going to have time for that.
It is relevant.
I know
to this.
I know.
Topic, but
I know, but we have a dominant news cycle this week.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got to get through it.
If you haven't heard of Crusader Kings or Paradox Games, check it out. It's worth looking into. I don't know how well it's going to translate to console, mostly because having not played Crusader Kings itself, I don't know how the UI works in that one. But my most familiar Paradox game, Stellaris, would be a nightmare to play on a controller.
That is also my chief concern is going to be the UI.
Yeah.
You're spending so much time just trying to click buttons in a menu. I'm picturing doing it on a controller. Like it's terrifying.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I don't know how Crusader Kings, the newest one, is. It might be slimmed down.
I mean, the thing
you
is,
played the third one?
I haven't played the third one
because that's the one they're showing, right?
Yeah.
That is the one they're showing. But Crusader Kings, Imperator, Europa, Stellaris, whatever. I'm missing Hearts of Iron, Victoria. I mean, they all are going to have that base Paradox UI where it's a fucking drop-down menu. It's a fucking your trackers across the top, your fucking map modes, and all of that's going to be a fucking nightmare to go through with a fucking controller.
The one saving grace I think it might have is if this is your first Paradox game and you like it and you get into it, I don't think you're going to realize how much of a pain it is. It might be one of those games you're like, I really like CK3 on the Xbox, and I didn't realize that I've spent 40% of the time playing it just trying to use a fucking controller to get to the menus. So hopefully they can reach a bigger audience.
It's like playing Daisy on console.
Yeah, it's like when they put StarCraft out on the 64.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, what an experiment, right? But
good luck selecting units.
Exactly.
Yeah, big time. So the next game that we saw was There Is No Light. this may be the most forgettable game for me that we saw tonight.
I already forgot it. I don't even remember watching.
So it was
the Salt and Souls looking game.
It was the top-down pixel art, kind of looked hand-drawn RPG that we saw.
Salt and Sanctuary is what I was thinking of.
Guy killed some wolves. It was pretty bloody.
So yeah, it was the pixel art Dark Souls looking thing where in the opening that guy was punching the
dude on the trash can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If anybody has heard of Salt and Sanctuary, which is essentially same art style but a side scroller, I mean that's what it reminds me of. Like somebody made a pixel art Dark Souls. This one happens to be a top-down, semi-isometric pixel art version.
Yeah.
But it had that problem where it's clearly from a Japanese developer. They hired an English voice actor to read this script over the video.
Off of Fiverr.
Yes. Like the grammar was bad. And it's like, you're immediately like, it's hard to pick up exactly what the game about. It's like, let's watch the character contents in this direction. And you're like, okay, I don't even know what the plot is yet, So.
Yeah. It might be a well-made game, might be a really good game, but they did a fucking terrible job of showcasing it.
Trailer.
I give it an F.
Yeah, worst trailer of the night, I think.
Void Train.
Void Train.
The only game to even possibly rival Raining Dinosaurs or whatever the first game was.
Void Train looked like everybody knows my well-established love of trains. And you get to be there was a scene where you're a fucking train pirate. They're fucking harpooning across on the trains, rolling through the void, and there's some sort of fucking turtle fish swimming by, and Napoleon's there. I think I'm not sure. It looked like a lot of fun.
Easily my favorite game of the night. I'm not as attached to ancient birds as these guys are, so the dinosaur game was like I'm interested to be fun, but.
Dinosaur game was my favorite game for PlayStation. Exoprimal was my top game for PlayStation. Void Train was my game of the night. Thank you very much, sir.
It's my game of the night as well, so we're on the same page.
We're on the same train.
Yeah, buddy. We will.
Somebody want to sum it up or?
So
how do you?
So it's a survival game. Like it's weird because I saw someone playing this game a year or two ago. They were fighting those fish because they were flying off and they're doing it. So having what little we saw now and what I remember is you're on a train going through a dreamscape and there's no gravity. And it's like an old school, charcoal train, right? But it's like on these rails that are just going through space. And as we saw in this newest trailer, there's other trains. So there's some kind of train piracy or combat. But there's also these weird creatures, and you have to astronaut float out to collect resources, and you're building up your train, but it's going through this weird fucking dimension. Void. Yeah, this void full of weird stuff. And I don't know what else to say.
It just looks so neat. There's so many things that sparked my interest, in it. So I'm excited. It looks fun.
Quick side question: Did they have open beta testing of Elden Ring 6 months ago?
I don't think so.
It's weird. I came across YouTube videos that seemed like people.
Actually,
were playing
I think they did.
Okay. Thought it was bizarre, but I came across YouTube videos from 6 months ago that they're playing Elden Ring. I'm like, how did that do?
Yeah, Void Train was announced in 2020.
Oh shit!
So it's been a while.
Yeah.
So who's the dev on that?
Who is your daddy? Look that up.
Who is your dev and what does he make?
He makes Void Train. He's good.
He's good?
Nirga. And no, I'm not making up words. I'll try to see what they've made.
Okay.
It's This and Desolate, a game that came out in 2018 that I don't think I've heard of.
The name sounds vaguely familiar.
Nearga.
Not that one. Desolate.
Yeah.
Desolate was a first-person horror survival game that got mixed reviews on Steam.
Well.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen Desolate. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
anything else we got?
We got one more.
One more.
We talked about it briefly earlier. It's Chinatown Detective Agency.
Oh, yeah.
That one also looked pretty neat. It looked pretty neat.
It looks like point and click, whodunit, detective mystery. Really good pixel art.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think everyone was blown away by the pixel art when we were watching it. It was crisp.
Good. Yeah.
If you want to play a clicky detective game with a cool Asian in it, you play Disco Elysium.
Yeah.
This woman that does the voice actor for the main character was like, it's so cool to have a video game with this Singaporean person, which, I mean, that's cool. I get it. Most games are not geared towards anybody, but like the primary, not people, but dominant gamers. Well, like, so you have probably Chinese, Japanese, and then white people, I guess, are like primarily dominant.
Probably. It was very, I mean, it's cool to see someone behind the scenes talking about the game as your trailer. But as your first experience, it's like, imagine going to the movie theater and you're waiting for your movie to play and they're showing the trailers before your movie. And half the trailer of a new movie you've never heard of is someone talking about their experience on set.
They do that, but at the movie theater.
No, like as your first, like imagine going in Pirates of the Caribbean and it's the guy who plays the antagonist, or I guess the main character. So Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp's just talking about his experience playing Johnny Depp, and like so that's your first interaction with Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah. It was just a bit jarring.
Yeah.
Like, but then again, it's an indie game. It's an indie trailer. You know, they're doing something new. What blew me away is how much that felt like a fucking LucasArts game.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap, like straight Day of the Tentacle, you know, fucking Secret of Monkey Island. You know, it's been a long time since I played those style of games, and it's kind of neat seeing them make a comeback.
I wanna give some context as far as what you're talking about. So we had the main the voice actor for the main character of Chinatown Detective Agency giving her thoughts and impressions and kind of an overview of the game as the game trailer was being shown. Some context for that is we didn't watch the entire ID at Xbox.
Was that not like the first thing?
The stream was 3.5 hours long. We didn't have time to do that before the podcast.
Sense.
So in that context, you know, like let's go back to what was the game called? The bad one. There Is No Light. How they had the voiceover for that. So these weren't all necessarily trailers. Some of them were clearly trailers, but some of them were
just taking clips.
Yeah, some of them were clips that were voiced over by, you know, people that dealt with a project because they were presenting them for the first time.
Okay. I mean that should be. I'm glad you made that distinction, and that should be.
Came a little late, but
it came a little late.
And that's kind of what I was talking about. So to have the main voice actor and stuff, like for what we're watching is what we think is essentially a gameplay trailer. Opening up talking about how like she loved the fact that her character was this race, and then like that's what I mean. It's like that's kind of stuff she's talking about when we're here to like what's the game about? What's the actual? But obviously they want this is the behind the scenes look of this game, and
if we can find if they have actual trailers available for these few like shoddy trailers we watched, it'd be cool to throw them up.
So some of these
they just don't have.
I looked into
yet?
that. Yeah, they don't have trailers yet. So
it's just
a lot of these were the first look. So if we're to look, let's go back through ID at Xbox.
6 months to a year, we'll get a trailer.
If that.
Or so tomorrow or something.
Maybe. Let's go Curse to Golf. Currently, the release date is TBD. Platform is PC. Game Pass is TBD.
Okay.
Escape Academy is TBD. Console TBD. So it's like these games, like they're in their infancy,
but they have no idea when they're going to launch.
Whalefall, for instance, might turn out to be a fucking incredible looking game because so far release date is TBD, platform is console, and Xbox Game Pass is TBD. So there isn't a lot of information. This is really just a showcase to show that like, hey, we're this developer, we've got this game that we're making. Stay tuned, right?
Yeah, I saw Subnautica really early on.
Yeah.
Once it looks like
totally
shit.
different. Yeah.
It was so different than the final game.
When Subnautica came out, it's not a game that I had been following, and I watched the early gameplay footage of Subnautica, and I was like, this is garbage. And then it turned into honestly, I would call it a AAA game from a non-AAA studio.
It's hard to quantify and qualify games, but like it's gotta be in my top 10 or 20 most enjoyed game experiences of all time. Totally. That doesn't mean it's a fantastic game, but that my personal experience with Subnautica was amazing. And like after having seen this, this couple of tech demos they had, I'm like, cool bathtub simulator, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
So that's good to know that these aren't full trailers. Some of them are just like, here's what we have to show.
Yeah. This is what we have so far. It's like total initial announcements.
Okay.
Whereas we're used to trailers from AAA game studios where it's like the first thing you ever see is a nearly complete fucking
it's showing on TV.
Right, showing on TV, and it's not in engine. They had some third party make some of the best CG you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Let's Dead Island trailer.
Don't remind me.
Yeah. So we are comparing kind of apples and oranges here, but.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know. Did you say there was one more, or am I just?
There isn't. So they did talk about other games. They didn't have a whole lot.
Agency.
Yeah, that was.
We should just really quickly mention what that one was about. It looked like a point and click kind of solve the murder mystery.
Yeah.
With very LucasArts feel, excellent fucking pixel art with a cool shader over it. So yeah.
What's weird is that, I mean, that's going to sound really bad because it seems so hung up on the race thing, but like you can't even tell what any character is in that game. They're all pixel art. Like that was the next thing I thought is like she's talking about how it's cool to have like a Singaporean. I'm like, that is cool, but wouldn't you like one that actually like somehow?
I imagine there's going to be like, because we didn't like Andy's pointing out, we didn't get to see the whole thing. I imagine there's a lot more of that Singapore kind of a flavor in there or something, and we just didn't get to see that because it seems like you're saying it seems like a weird.
Well, or the point got lost in the formula,
or the point, or that. I mean,
it could be that.
Very true. Very true.
I guess I just get weirded out anytime that seems like that. There's like a PR stunt trying to be made with the way that people are presenting or speaking. So it's the same premise with like the 4 female games.
Everybody agrees with you. Like.
Just make a good fucking game.
Well,
stop drawing attention to this shit.
Here's the thing: everybody agrees with you. Nobody wants to be fucking pandered to. That's the main thing. That's the main thing. Is don't fucking pander.
You summed up what I am trying to convey. Stop pandering.
We're not like we definitely like representation fucking matters.
Yes.
We all agree and love that. Like let's get more representation for more people, for more types of people. Let's represent the spectrum, but. Don't fucking pander.
We're not fucking stupid.
Yeah. It's even okay if it's the point of your game.
Yeah.
That's fine. As long as it's not done in a pandering way. To pander for the sake of things like wokeness, that's not cool, man. You can be woke without fucking pandering. So I think that's what we're saying.
I don't want a pigeon to come out on stage and tell me how awesome Hotiful Boyfriend is.
Man, you are throating your mic.
Oh, because it's down here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I seriously? Ooh, that's kind of weird.
It's bone shaking.
It's a new skill.
Did we talk about his bone
bones.
shaker on the podcast yet?
We didn't. We have like maybe 2 minutes to talk about Russ's bone shaker.
Russ bought a bone shaker. It's the future of noise. It vibrates your jawbone to play. I don't know.
It's audio.
Yeah.
Russ bought a fucking bone conduction.
Who's the what you say
headphones.
girl? What you say?
That's Jason Derulo, but
no, the woman with the okay, whatever. We're getting into weird territory.
We're in the weeds.
I have to know, Nick.
She did a TED Talk
back, girl?
with like haptic music gloves. Imogen Heap. Imogen Heap is who I was thinking of.
I don't know what or who.
I've heard of Imogen Heap.
Okay. Anyways.
So Imogen Heap, guys, check them out.
They make
bone shakers.
They'll shake your bones.
What are those headphones called?
They're bone conduction headphones.
Bone conduction.
It's not new tech.
Yeah.
My thoughts on them are they are pretty great to work with. I had to
they don't plug your ears.
Well, yeah. So one, I hate earbuds because when I move around a lot at work stuff, they always want to fall out. Turns out I move around a lot at work. They don't block your ears at all, so even over the ear headphone, so you can hear a lot better. And ambient noise isn't quite as distracting.
It's just got like a little pad that touches your jawbone.
Yeah,
that's where all the sound comes from.
I would say that what would you call it? Noise leak is a thing.
Yeah.
So like if you're standing near somebody and I'm listening to these, you can hear them because it is playing, like it has like I imagine some sort of speaker like device inside of it, but it's pretty negligible. Like I can be at max volume and you like will barely be able to hear it if you're like standing next to me or kissing my neck.
Word.
Science.
Licking my earlobes.
Kissing science. All right. Well,
I think that just about wraps it up.
Yep.
Do we have anything else we want to bring up real quick?
Wraps are delicious.
I am going to
Put
play
Tabasco
Tunic,
on them.
and I am going to play Inscription, which we didn't talk about because we'd already done it in a previous podcast.
Yeah. Next week, Josh has something to talk about that he's just bursting the seams.
We
to talk
made him
about.
delay all night, telling him he might have an opportunity
And
to talk.
instead, we
Yeah.
got to talk about Russ's fucking headphones.
Like you
instead of
could have done that for talked about
Like-
your thing for 2 minutes.
See, if
probably
I knew,
could've.
no bullshit. If I knew that if I gave you the time, we'd be wrapping up at 12:30.
I had something relevant to one of the things we
really
watched.
did.
It
I know
was
you did.
that-
Listen,
and instead
I
we
know
talked
you
about
did. I
headphones.
love you.
Now we get to make the audience slather. They have a whole
Exactly.
week to wait.
So
They're
guys,
My
gonna
feelings
edge
are
for
hurt.
7 days.
And that's
Yes.
how we're ending
I
the
wanna
podcast
keep
with Josh's
talking.
hurt feelings.
and
Good night.
just rubbing it in.
Russ, your
that-
hair looks amazing. So stay tuned. Make sure you come in next week. Josh is gonna blow his fucking load all over you.
Like I already did in Russ's hair.
This dude has been edging for days to talk about this already. So give it another week, and it's just gonna come out.
It looks like Ben Stiller
Sutra
came on your head
2.0.
accidentally.
I can promise that your ears are gonna feel fucked.
Oh,
He's gonna,
You're gonna feel
he's gonna
satisfied.
edge an entire week for you.
oral sex.
But yeah,
Conan hair.
that's just about wrapping it up.
Goodbye.
Yeah, we've gone off the rails. This is done. We're done.
We're
This
done.
is
Train!
We're never coming back.
Go to bed.
Josh, fuck you and your story. Good night.
Oh, bye.